You have 2 years very tough with health issues around your family. I think what happened, how you're ending this year, the things that change, and how you deal with that with the kids.
Yeah, I think every family has its own difficulties and its own challenges, and I think it's very individual and sort of.
The phone screen glows in the dark. A thumb scrolls. Then it stops. A photograph of Catherine, Princess of Wales, sits frozen on the display. Strangers zoom into the edge of her sleeve. They circle a blurred zipper. They mark a sleeve that bends the wrong way. Across the world, in millions of bedrooms and on millions of phones, the same image is pulled apart, pixel by pixel, like evidence laid out on a table. Nobody in those rooms has met her. None of them sit beside her. Yet, every one of them is acting like a detective assigned to her body. It is early 2024. The Princess of Wales has not been seen in public for weeks. Kensington Palace has said she had planned abdominal surgery and needs time to recover. That should be the end of it. A patient, a hospital, a family asking for privacy. Instead, the silence becomes a stage, and the internet rushes to fill it. Hi viewers, before we go any further, tell me honestly in the comments. Have you ever shared a rumour online before you knew if it was even true? Be honest, drop your answer below, because this whole story turns on that one habit. The questions start small. Where is she? Why no photos? Why so quiet? Then they grow teeth. Theories bloom overnight. Edited pictures spread faster than facts. A future queen, recovering from surgery, becomes the most argued about woman on the planet. Not for anything she has done, but for what the world has decided her silence must be hiding. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, keeps showing up to engagements. He shakes hands, he smiles for cameras. He says nothing about the storm, and the less he says, the louder it grows. What the public can see is a single palace statement and a blank space where a princess used to be. What the public cannot see is what is happening behind the hospital doors. And the moment this all began to truly spin out of control was not the moment most people remember. A mother sits her 3 children down. She chooses her words with care. She is about to explain something no child should have to hear. This is the part of the story the cameras never reach. In January 2024, Kensington Palace confirms the Princess of Wales has undergone planned abdominal surgery and will be in the hospital for up to 2 weeks. The statement asks for understanding. It says she hopes the public will respect her family's privacy while she recovers. Behind that statement is a household trying to hold steady. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis. 3 children, all under the age of 11, watching their mother step away from public life with no clear explanation that they can fully understand. William carries 2 roles at once. He is the Prince of Wales, heir to the throne, expected to appear, to represent, to keep the machinery of the monarchy running. He is also a husband whose wife is recovering from surgery, and a father trying to keep 3 young lives feeling normal. Then comes the news that turns everything heavier. After the surgery, tests reveal something the family did not expect: cancer. The word lands inside the walls of their home long before the world hears it. For weeks they hold it privately, while Catherine begins a course of preventative chemotherapy. Picture that gap. Inside the house, a family is absorbing a frightening diagnosis. Outside the house, the world is busy, inventing reasons for her absence. Most of them cruel, none of them true. This is not scandal, not yet. This is survival. A family pulled tight around one painful fact, while the noise builds beyond their gates, and the palace makes a choice. It stays quiet, beyond those first careful words. It guards the privacy of a sick mother and her children. But silence in the modern world does not stay empty for long. Silence becomes a vacuum, and a vacuum always gets filled. A rumour moves faster than a heartbeat. One post becomes 1,000. 1,000 becomes 1,000,000. By the time the truth wakes up, the lie has already travelled around the world twice. This is the engine that takes hold, while the Princess of Wales recovers in private, and it runs on something simple: attention. Modern media never sleeps. There is a hunger for new content every hour of every day.
For all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team.
And an empty space where a public figure used to be is treated like raw fuel. Channels need views, accounts need clicks, and a missing princess is, to the algorithm, a gift. So the speculation economy goes to work. Without new photos, old ones are re-examined. Without statements, gaps are treated as confessions. The conversation shifts from concern to suspicion, slowly at first, then all at once. Then comes the moment that pours gasoline on it. In March 2024, Kensington Palace releases a photograph of Catherine with her 3 children for Mother's Day in the United Kingdom. It is meant to reassure, it does the opposite. Picture agencies that first distributed the image issue a rare kill notice, pulling it back over concerns it had been digitally altered. Catherine herself releases a statement explaining she sometimes experiments with editing and apologising for the confusion. The intent was warmth, the effect was wildfire. If one photo was edited, the crowd reasons, then what else is being hidden? The trust that was already thin snaps almost completely. Here is the painful truth underneath it all. Nothing about her actual medical condition has changed. There is no new fact. There is only perception, twisting in the wind. The war is not over her health. It is over what the public believes is being kept from them. The palace had chosen silence to protect a recovering mother, but protection and secrecy can look identical from the outside. And one missing appearance, one pulled photograph, becomes the hinge on which the entire global story turns. A timeline does not lie. People do. And the gap between the two is where this story lives. Lay the verified facts down in order, like stepping stones, and watch how far the world drifts from them. Step 1. January 2024. Kensington Palace announces the Princess of Wales has had planned abdominal surgery and will recover privately for several weeks. A clear, simple statement. Step 2. The weeks pass. Catherine does not appear at public engagements. There is no scandal in this. Recovery from major surgery takes time, and doctors had said she would not return to duties until after Easter. But the calendar of a royal is public, and every blank date becomes a question mark. Step 3. The question marks multiply. With no new images, the internet begins to fill the silence on its own. Theories stack on theories. Some are merely nosy, others are openly cruel. None are grounded in anything more than the absence of a photograph. Step 4. March 2024. The Mother's Day photo is released, then pulled by news agencies over editing concerns. Instead of calming the crowd, it convinces them something is being covered up. The suspicion hardens into something close to certainty in the loudest corners of the web. Step 5. And then the fact that ends the guessing. On March 22nd, 2024, Catherine releases a video message. Sitting alone on a bench, dressed simply, she speaks directly to the camera. She confirms that cancer was found in tests after her surgery, and that she is in the early stages of preventative chemotherapy. The truth at last, in her own voice. And with it comes a strange, tangled wave of emotion across the public. Relief that she is speaking. Guilt for those who pushed and theorised and zoomed into her sleeves. A creeping embarrassment for an internet that treated a cancer patient like a puzzle to be solved. There is no exaggeration needed here. The confirmed timeline is enough. A woman went into surgery, learned she had cancer, took time to tell her children, and then told the world. You would think confirmation would settle everything. A clear answer, a human face, a real diagnosis. But the noise does not simply stop when the truth arrives. In some corners, it does not stop at all. The video ends. For one breath, the world goes quiet. And then the second story begins. The one that has nothing to do with her health and everything to do with us. Because by now, 2 stories are running side by side. One is real. A mother undergoing treatment, trying to protect 3 children from fear. The other is Invented, a parallel narrative built entirely online, and it has taken on a life of its own. In that second story, the disappearance was never about surgery. The theories had already decided that. They spread through comment sections and group chats and short clips stitched together with ominous music. Each one presents guesswork as discovery. Each one treats a private medical matter as a mystery. The crowd is entitled to crack. Watch the emotional shift that happens here, because it is the heart of everything. At the start, the feeling was concern.
It can be pulled from under your feet quite quick at any point. You maybe think to yourself, it won't happen to us. We'll be okay. But when it does happen to you, then it takes you into some pretty, not great place.
People worried about a woman they admired. But concern is quiet, and quiet does not perform well. So concern curdles into consumption. Her absence stops being something to worry about and becomes something to watch, to debate, to monetize. That is the part few want to admit. For a stretch of weeks, the suffering of a real family became entertainment, content, a trend with a hashtag. The very people demanding the truth were feeding the machine that made the truth harder to hear. And in the centre of it stands William, the Prince of Wales, saying nothing. His strategy is protection. Guard his wife, guard his children, let her recover without a camera in her face. It is the choice of a husband and a father, not a strategist. But here is the cruel twist of the modern world. Every hour the palace stayed silent, the internet grew louder. The more they tried to shield the family, the more the void filled with noise. Protection and provocation became the same act. So the family makes a decision. They will speak again. A rare, deliberate public message. And what is about to be said will turn the entire mood of the world on its head, in a way almost no one is ready for. She sits on a wooden bench. Spring leaves blur behind her. She looks straight into the lens, takes a breath, and begins to speak. It is March 22nd, 2024. The Princess of Wales has chosen to do the one thing the palace had avoided for months. She is going to tell the world the truth herself, in her own voice, with no spokesperson between her and the public. Tell me in the comments, when someone finally tells the truth after a long silence, do you feel relief, or do you feel anger that it took so long? I want to hear it. Catherine explains it plainly. The surgery in January was thought to be for a non-cancerous condition, but tests afterward found cancer was present. She is now in the early stages of a course of preventative chemotherapy. Her voice is steady, but the weight behind every word is clear. Then she says, the thing that reorders the entire story. She explains that it has taken time to come this far, because she and William needed to process the news privately, and to explain it to their 3 young children in a way they could understand. She says it has taken time to reassure them she is going to be okay. That single detail changes everything. The world had spent weeks demanding answers from a mother who was kneeling at her children's level, choosing soft words, trying to keep George, Charlotte, and Louis from being afraid. The crowd wanted proof she was protecting babies. Watch the mood of the public flip in real time. The suspicion drains away. The cruel jokes vanish from feeds. In their place comes a flood of support, and underneath it, for many, shame. People who had shared theories now sit quietly with what they had done. There is no need to dramatize this moment beyond what it already is. A mother told the truth. The world finally listened. And for a short while, compassion wins. But the relief does not hold. Because telling the truth, it turns out, does not end the pressure on this family. The hardest part of their year has not even arrived yet. One diagnosis would test any family. This family is about to face 2. While the world is still absorbing Catherine's video, another piece of news is already part of the picture. Earlier in 2024, Buckingham Palace confirmed that King Charles III had also been diagnosed with cancer.
The world, and also early diagnosis, that you can find cancer when you're looking for something else, get it out early and treat it early with chemotherapy every few weeks for several weeks. She's facing it with great optimism. As to what it is, oncologists around the country that I've talked about this.
Discovered during treatment for a separate condition. Father and daughter-in-law, both of them ill, in the same brutal stretch of months. So, consider where that leaves Prince William, the Prince of Wales. His wife is undergoing chemotherapy. His father, the King, is undergoing treatment. The two people closest to the heart of his family, and the heart of the monarchy itself, are both fighting the same disease at the same time. And the machinery does not pause for grief. The institution still needs faces at engagements. Ribbons still need cutting. Hands still need shaking. With the King stepping back from public duties to focus on treatment, and the Princess of Wales away entirely, more of that weight shifts onto William's shoulders. He becomes in many ways the steady centre holding the public side of the family together. He attends events alone, where he might once have stood beside his wife. He keeps his expression calm. He says little about what is happening inside his home, because what is happening inside his home is two people he loves being sick at once. Later, William would describe this period in his own words, calling it the hardest year of his life. From a man trained since childhood to never show strain in public, that admission carries real weight. It is as close as a future king comes to saying he was barely holding on. The monarchy keeps functioning in full view. The flags fly, the schedule rolls forward. But behind the polished surface, a family is being stretched in two directions by illness, carrying a private war while performing public calm. And the person carrying the most, the one expected to be strong for everyone, is about to feel the full weight of being watched while he does it. A camera finds his face in a crowd. It studies him, it waits for a crack. This is William's daily reality through the worst of it. Every public appearance becomes a reading. Does he look tired? Does he look strained? Is that a smile or just good manners? The Prince of Wales cannot simply attend an event anymore. He performs wellness while privately managing the opposite. Think about the pressure built into his position. He is the heir to the throne. One day, he will be king. He has been raised to understand that the institution depends on appearing steady, especially when things are not. So he shows up, he carries out duties, he represents a crown that cannot be seen to wobble. But he is also a husband driving home from those events to a wife in treatment, a son checking on a father who is also fighting cancer, a dad trying to keep bedtime normal for 3 kids who know something is wrong even when no one says it out loud. The contrast is the cruelest part. In public, strength; in private, exhaustion. And the public side is the only side most people ever see, which means the world judges him on the mask while knowing nothing of the face beneath it. Every absence gets scrutinised. When he steps back from a duty to be with his family, some read it as weakness or mystery. When he shows up, others pick apart his mood. There is no version of this where he is simply allowed to be a man whose wife and father are sick. He rarely complains. That is not how he was raised. He keeps the line, holds the schedule, protects the people he loves by absorbing the strain himself rather than passing it to them. And then, somewhere in the middle of it all, William says something out loud. A single, honest public remark about how heavy this year has been. It is brief, it is restrained. But it lands like a window suddenly opening on a house everyone had only seen from the street. And it makes the world reconsider everything it thought it understood about the man at the centre. A word arrives that the family has waited a year to say. Remission. In January 2025, Catherine, Princess of Wales, shares the news the public had been hoping for. She announces that she is in remission from cancer. After a year of treatment, of silence, of speculation and recovery, there is finally light. She speaks of relief and of focus on the future, on healing, and on the family that carried her through it. If this story has reminded you that the people behind the headlines are real, do something for me. subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story we tell here. We bring you the human truth behind the famous faces, and we'd hate for you to miss what comes next. But remission is not a finish line you cross at full speed. Catherine is careful to say her recovery is ongoing. She returns to public life slowly, choosing her engagements, building her strength back rather than rushing to fill a calendar. The world wants the old version of her back instantly. Healing does not work that way, and she refuses to pretend it does. Through 2025 and into 2026.
Yeah, there has indeed, and good morning from Windsor, where Catherine is spending time behind these castle walls with her family and Prince William over this Easter break. But she has been receiving messages of support. So we've heard from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who said, "We wish health and healing for Kate."
She steps forward in measured ways. She speaks openly about the reality of life after cancer treatment, about how the period after the all clear can be its own quiet challenge when the support falls away, but the body and mind are still mending. In doing so, she turns her private ordeal into something useful for others walking the same road. She returns to causes close to her, including work tied to cancer care and early childhood. The things that mattered to her before illness and matter even more now. Each appearance is watched closely, but the tone has changed. The crowd that once hunted for clues now mostly roots for her. William stays beside her through the return, the same steady presence, now lighter than he was at the worst of it. The family that was stretched so thin begins, carefully, to find its footing again. And yet, even with remission, even with the return to duty, something does not simply reset. The year left a mark that recovery alone cannot erase. The biggest question of this entire story is not whether Catherine got better. It is what the whole episode revealed about everyone who was watching. Picture the moment the video first went quiet. Millions of phones, all paused on the same frozen frame. And in that silence, a question that has nothing to do with the princess and everything to do with the people holding those phones. What did this story actually reveal? Because this was never only a royal health story, it was a collision. Privacy crashing into publicity. A family's right to heal in quiet, crashing into a global audience that felt entitled to every detail. Real human pain crashing into an internet built to turn anything, even illness, into content. Look back at how fast it all moved. Concern became suspicion. Suspicion became theory. Theory became entertainment. And somewhere in that slide, compassion got left behind. The very people who said they cared were zooming into sleeves and circling zippers and treating a sick woman like a case to be cracked. If you take one thing from this, take this question and answer it honestly in the comments below. Did the public cross a line in demanding answers from a woman who was simply trying to get well? Or did the palace's long silence unintentionally feed the very storm it was trying to avoid? And the harder question underneath both, where should privacy end when the person involved is famous? Share your thoughts. Your honesty might make someone else think twice before they share the next rumour.
Here is the heart of it. William and Catherine were never just symbols on a coin or faces on a magazine. They were a husband and wife, a father and mother, a family carrying 2 cancer diagnoses at once, while the world treated their struggle as a puzzle and a trend. The real shock of this story was never that Catherine was ill. Illness is human. The real shock was how quickly public curiosity turned into public cruelty, and how easily a frightened mother became the most argued about person on the planet for the crime of asking for privacy. The lesson sits there for all of us. The loudest crisis is not always the one happening inside the palace walls. Sometimes it is the one the world invents in the empty space, the story we decide is true before the truth ever gets a chance to speak. So before you share the next missing photo, the next bit of speculation about a stranger's life, pause. Ask whether you are watching a mystery or whether you are watching a person. If this story moved you, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it with someone who needs the reminder that kindness should come before curiosity. Tell us in the comments who you think showed the most strength this year. Your words might be the thing that inspires the next person scrolling, and stay close because the next story we tell may change the way you see these famous faces forever.